to Lavender Lane Wellness Center's webinar series. Today, I'm pleased to introduce Dr. Daniel Adler. He works as a chiropractor at our facility, and he provides chiropractic services, which includes the activator, acupuncture, and orthotics. Today, he's going to be presenting on how to prevent yard work and gardening injuries. Which is very pertinent right now. The weather is starting to improve, and we're not available if you hurt yourself due to the COVID-19 pandemic. So please take it away, Dan.
Thank you very much. So like Christine said, I am Dr. Daniel Adler, a chiropractor at Lavender Lane Wellness Center. So what I'm going to be doing today is I'm going to just chat for a little bit about some basic information. We're going to then move on to doing some stretches. You can follow along with me or just watch. A little bit of a warm-up routine. If you do want to follow along with me and if you want to join me in them, please do. Just don't do anything that you feel may cause you any harm. So if anything hurts, just skip it, go easy. Nothing that's going to create any more issues. So one thing I want to talk about today is just some basic information about back pain. And back and neck pain is a significant problem for the health industry. There are about 400,000 hospital visits a year due to things like back pain, neck pain, and that is a lot. It is actually the third most common reason people will go to the emergency room. And of those people, 97% are actually not admitted after waiting. So right now, obviously, we're going through quite a significant health challenge. So staying out of emergency rooms is critical. We want to make sure those numbers are as absolutely low as possible. So as my role as a chiropractor, the way I see it is that we are really there to help take the burden off the medical system, treating back pain, neck pain, any joint pain, really trying to make sure that the healthcare system is supported as best that we can. One of the ways we do that is to be an educator for low back pain prevention. I want to make sure nobody has to suffer through an episode of low back pain. So what I'm going to be doing today is just talking about some very, very basic things to be able to help you try to avoid some issues while the weather's getting nicer. As Christine said, weather's picking up. It's looking pretty nice out there. Maybe not today, maybe the past few days, but in general, it's been looking pretty good. I do want to say I am still available for emergency care. So if there was something so bad that you felt you were going to go to the hospital for, please just let me know. But with gardening, it is a great exercise, especially right now. It's great physical activity, it's self-isolating, and it's outdoors. So things that we really are, looking for right now. It's one of those things that if you do it right, it can help build a nice, strong, resilient back, but you do it wrong, it can create more back problems. So we want to make sure that we're walking that fine line, really trying to get the positives out of it and avoid any type of negative outcome from it. So we have to do it smart, we have to do it carefully, and you do it smart and carefully, and you're going to have a good time with it and enjoy the fruits of your labor. Nice green grass, nice flowers, lots of vegetables growing. So one at the end of the season to see a great garden. So when it comes to gardening, like I said, we need to play it smart. So the first thing you need to do is need to warm up. Before even physically warming up, you have to start thinking ahead. What are you going to be doing? What's your plan? What do you want to tackle today? Be smart about that. You're not going to cut the grass, weed the lawn, plant your flowers, your trees, do all your pruning all in one day. I mean, that's a lot. And especially for the fact that we're quarantined right now, we're not going anywhere. We don't need to do it all in one day. So take your time, plan out, alternate more difficult chores with lighter things. So you're not overdoing it. The key is making sure you're always doing a tolerable level of work. So really plan ahead what you want to be doing and space it out. Like I said, there's no reason that you need to do it all in one day. We are going to be here for a little bit while longer. So take your time and enjoy it, space out the activity. So the first thing you want to do is you need to start slowly warming up. Best way of doing that is just walking around for a little bit. So do a lap or two of your house. Just start walking around the house, inside, outside, make sure you're dressed for the weather, and just slowly start walking around, maybe take a visual approach, what needs to be done right now, how do things look, and just do a lap. The reason you need to start warming up is because colder muscles have increased risk of injury. For any of you that have flown internationally, come back to the airport and notice that after you get over this, through this really long flight, and then it's a large hike to get from the plane to pick up your baggage. And that's actually not an accident. That's not poor planning by airports. That's actually really good planning. The reason being is that if you get off the plane after sitting for about 7-8 hours or so, go quickly pick up your heavy bags, that's a good way to hurt your back. And they've found that that did lead to injury. So what the airports do is get you walking quite a distance because they want you nice and warm before you try to pick up your heavy bags. So the same thing when you're gardening, you got to make sure you're warmed up. You got to make sure that the blood is flowing to the muscles to reduce the risk of injury. So when it comes to stretching, there's two really different types of stretching. There's what most people think about when I say the word stretching, what is called, and that's called static stretching. That's when you just kind of hold the muscle in a stretched position for a few seconds. What that does is that activates certain stretch receptors in the muscle. There are certain receptors that sense stretch in a muscle, which then reflexively turn off that muscle. So for example, if you're doing a bicep curl, your biceps are actually strong enough they can do some serious damage to themselves. So they have these stretch receptors which sense that if there's too much stretch in it, they actually turn that muscle off to protect that muscle. So we want to make sure that so while we stretch it, we need to make sure we're also doing dynamic, which is where we warm up doing the specific movement or warming up through movements. If you're doing something that requires strength, I suggest sticking to dynamic. If you're doing something that requires a range of motion, then I suggest focusing on that static where you just stretch and hold. With gardening, it does take a little bit of both. So I do like to warm up with both, a little bit of static stretching and a little bit of dynamic stretching where we're just going to warm up through a little bit of movement. There's no absolute right or wrong to that. That's just what I like. That's the routine that I feel gets the most success. But if there's something else, if you have any questions, please do just let me know. With regards to stretching, when you're holding it, I suggest 15 to 30 seconds, a light, moderate stretch. Nothing should be painful. There should be no discomfort with any stretch. Everything should be comfortable. So if something's painful, stop. And that may need to be addressed. Then when you actually get to it, the next thing is start slowly. So let's say you're weeding the lawn, you're raking the dead grass up, you're pruning trees, whatever you're doing, start slowly. Don't just jump right in. Take your time, go really slow to start, because what you want to do is start getting blood flowing to those task-specific muscles. So whatever muscles are required to do that task, they're the ones you want to start feeding the oxygen to. That's going to get them nice and warmed up slowly. That's going to reduce your risk of injury. And then also take breaks. You really want to make sure that, like I said, you're not doing this all at once. Give yourself a few minutes, 10, 15 minutes here and there. If you're hunched over in the back, hunched over kind of with a flexed back, what's going to happen is there's certain ligaments in the spine which can start to stretch. When they start to stretch, that will cause significant amount of pain. They're actually elongating, which you're not meant to do. So when they start getting painful, they're not going to stop being painful until that ligament is returned to its natural size, which could take at least 8 hours. So the key is take breaks before anything starts to bother you. Every 15, 20 minutes, just stop, focus on moving around, just stop doing what you're doing, just take a little break and relax. And always do that before you start to notice any symptoms or anything. Like I said, we're not going anywhere. We're going to be in quarantine for a little bit while longer. So spread out what you need to do. We want to make sure we all have something to keep us busy. So if there are no questions up to this point, what we're going to do is move through a stretch demo. I'm going to position my computer where hopefully I can see what's going on. I can't see what everybody's doing, but if you want to follow along, please do. Like I said, if anything's going to cause you any discomfort, please don't do it. I don't want anybody suffering anything new by doing something maybe they shouldn't have. So keep the exercises light, keep the stretches light, and stick to what's comfortable, okay? So I'm gonna position my computer. Hopefully everybody can see me. Okay, now we're just gonna start from the top down. So we're gonna start from our neck. So what we're just gonna do is just some gentle neck rolls. Just moving the neck around, start getting that blood. So this is what I would refer to more as a dynamic warm-up. We're warming up through movement. Just a few more. And there's no set number of how many of these you need to do. Just starting to feel that muscle just loosen up a little bit. And then just a few static stretches. So with the arm, just a little tiny bit of pressure on the neck. Just holding that nice moderate stretch for about 15 to 30 seconds. I'm not counting here, but just feeling the stretch. And the other way. I'm just going to throw out a few more neck rolls just because I like getting the neck nice and warmed up. Okay, we'll just do some arm swings. Start nice and big circles. Again, those shoulder joints warmed up. Get smaller. And then backwards. All right, then arm across the chest. Again, this is a static one. Let's go the other way. Okay, just a few more arm swings just to keep that blood moving. And then another way. Okay, let's do a few trunk rotations just to get the spine loosened up. We'll do a little bit more spine work at the end. Just a few, again, just to get that blood flowing. Okay, then let's bring knee to your chest. If you feel you need to use a table or a chair, something to balance yourself, go for it. But I don't have one here, so I'm just gonna balance as best I can. Knee to your chest. Okay, so tilt this down over here. And then a quad stretch. Again, if you feel you need to balance by holding on to something, go for it. Another leg. Then same thing with the arm swings. We're going to do that with the hips. So just swing your hip from side to side, getting a little bit of passive motion into that hip joint, keeping it nice and loose. Just going to do a few back and forth. And these type of motions that you can do for a break, just loosen up those joints again. So the arm swings, the hip swings, you can go front to back, but any direction you want, just getting that passive motion into the hip joint. Another leg. Okay, it's gonna lower you down actually here. Okay, we're just gonna do some calf raises where you just raise your heels up. And then here, lower you down here again. And then just a few ankle rolls, get that ankle nice and loosened up. And both ankles. And the last thing I want to finish off with something called the cat camel. If you're a yoga practitioner, you may know this is the cat cow. It goes by both names. So what you're going to be doing is starting off on all fours Nice and square with your hands under your shoulders, your knees under your hips. Just arch your back up, then hollow it down. Just go back and forth a few times, really making sure you're not swaying back and forth as you do it, but staying nice and square. You're just focusing on that nice fluid spinal motion. You're not flexing, you're not forcing the spine in any particular direction. You're just going back and forth nice and slowly. Okay. So a warm-up routine doesn't need to be all that long. It doesn't need to take you all day, but it is important to warm up. That will reduce your risk of injury. Some other suggestions that I do have are maintaining a neutral spine. So what that means is you have the natural curves in your spine. You want to maintain those through whatever you're doing. So if you're hunched over all day, that's going to start to lead to some discomfort, but the spine is best protected when you're standing upright. So trying to maintain that upright position as best you can and using your hip to bend you forward. So instead of bending forward like this, keep your spine nice and straight and bend forward at the waist like that. So you see my back is nice and straight as opposed to bending forward like that. And then drink plenty of water as well. Muscles need water. And if you're working hard, you're going to be dehydrating yourself. You're going to be breathing out a lot of water. So you want to make sure you replenish that. Keep yourself as hydrated as you can. Take breaks, do a few cat camels, a few arm swings, hip swings, and get some water in. And then as well, change positions regularly. Like I said, don't wait till something hurts to change position. Constantly change position. So for example, if you're raking up dead grass, if you're raking one way, switch hands, go the other way. Just try to change things up as frequently as you possibly can. That's about all I have today. If you do want, or if you are looking for any information, you could also check out the Ontario Chiropractic Association. They do have some good infographics and information on there at chiropractic.on.ca. As well, like I said, I will be available for virtual care too, and emergency care if needed. But hopefully, everybody's keeping themselves nice and healthy right now. Very much to come.
Thanks, Dan. Those exercises are really easy to do, and definitely take your time with them, and don't force anything into pain ever. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for coming, everybody.